As Meg said, I'm one half of the marketing architect. My business partner picked this year, so we're matching in the leopard print today, which is entirely planned. But I'm not going to talk a lot about that just now. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about it later, if that's okay. But what we find in our business is that the number one question that clients or prospective clients are coming to us at the moment with is, how can I use LinkedIn to get more leads to my business? How can I grow my business using LinkedIn? What's all this fuss and palaver about LinkedIn at the minute? Because it is a really big, it's having a bit of a heyday at the minute. So we know that LinkedIn is on a lot of people's minds, and that's why I'm going to talk about it today. So there are two questions I'd like to help you answer for yourself today. First being, how can connecting on LinkedIn help me professionally? Why would I even bother? And the second, how can I attract the right people to connect with me on LinkedIn? Because we've all been approached by lots of people on LinkedIn. We all get lots of connection requests, I'm sure, if you're active on LinkedIn, and they're not all going to be relevant, and you don't want to connect with everybody. So it's all about getting the most for you personally, professionally, out of LinkedIn, and making sure that you've got the right kind of connections for your business. But first, pretty much everybody in this room is going to have a smartphone around. Most of them are on the tables already. Could I ask you all to make sure that you've got the LinkedIn app on your smartphones, and it can be downloaded in the background while I'm going through the next part of my talk. So if you haven't already got the LinkedIn app on your smartphone, now's the time to ignore me for a second and start the download, and then you can listen again while it's downloading in the background. If you have got it, then just make sure that it's accessible and you can get into it. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. So, why should you connect on LinkedIn? First of all, we'll look at who's using LinkedIn. So there are it was 590 million, which is why I'm happy to check the figures, 603 million registered users around the world, of which 25 million are in the UK. So 25 million people in the UK using this professional networking platform. So the chances are your clients and the people that you want to connect with professionally are on there. And 40% of those are active daily. So they're going onto LinkedIn every day, looking for people like you, looking for interesting stuff to read about, stuff to learn, and connections to make. So you can see that. So it's a great place to be professionally. And what can you use it for? So LinkedIn isn't like Facebook or Instagram or any of the others where you go on there to take pictures of beautiful food or your holiday snaps or anything like that. It is, first and foremost, a professional networking site. So that means that the people who are on there are in a professional business mindset when they're on there. They might talk about other stuff besides business. It's not 100% business these days, but they're there in a professional capacity. So you can connect with people in a professional capacity on LinkedIn. You can target decision makers in business, because the people who are the top dogs in business are going to be on LinkedIn. And you can use it really effectively for sales and business development. So you can get in front of the right people who are going to be able to purchase, to buy, to connect with you and use your business and your services. So what does LinkedIn like? As with all of the platforms, LinkedIn operates on an algorithm. There's an algorithm looking at what goes on and pushing content into your feed and prioritizing some content over other content. And that algorithm definitely knows what it likes and what it doesn't like. The things that it does like are a really good optimized personal profile. We'll look at that in a moment. Some really good quality engaging content. So not spam, not rubbish, but good quality engaging content that adds some value. It likes quality posts at the right time, by which we mean if your network of contacts and the people that you want to be in front of are all based in the States, don't post your content at 10 o'clock UK time if they're going to be asleep in New York. I don't know if they are or not, I don't know what the time difference is. But know when your people are going to be there. And that takes time and testing. You're not just going to know it automatically. It's something you've got to work out through testing and reviewing. And then it likes you to have a quality network. So that means people who are, like you, going to have a good optimized profile. They're going to be doing good things on LinkedIn, and pushing out good content, interacting in the right way, not spamming, not annoying people, and not just sitting really quietly, but actually active. So then, if we know what the algorithm does like, there's got to be some stuff that it doesn't like as well. So these are the things to avoid on LinkedIn. It doesn't like incomplete and out-of-date profiles. So if you had set up your LinkedIn profile 10 years ago when it was the next big thing, and then haven't touched it since then, the algorithm is going to think that you're not really very serious about LinkedIn, and it's not going to take you very seriously as a result. And that's obvious, isn't it? So we all need to make sure that our profiles are up to date. It doesn't like spammy behaviour and bots. By spam, I think we all know what spam means, so just pushing out content that is irrelevant, or replying to people's posts with totally irrelevant comments that are trying to push your business for no reason at all. But by bots, what we mean is the automated tools that you can use on LinkedIn to push out messages and that sort of thing. And LinkedIn is very much against that. LinkedIn is happy for you to use scheduling tools, so you can schedule your content using Hootsuite, Buffer, any of the other professional scheduling tools, but it doesn't like tools that plug in surreptitiously and send out lots of messages to people. And if LinkedIn knows what those tools are, and it frequently cuts them off and stops them working on, it changes its API so that they can't access it. And it will also downgrade you and your profile personally if you're using that kind of bot. So people are always telling you, not always, you get a lot of people who contact you on LinkedIn saying, use this, it's really great, use this bot. It isn't great, it won't help, and it will actually just downgrade your profile in the eyes of the algorithm. And then it doesn't like really high frequency, irrelevant content. So LinkedIn themselves say that the optimum content posting schedule is about 1 to 2 posts a day. Some people do more, and that's okay if it's really relevant content. However, I don't know how they have time to do it, because actually, if you're pushing out good quality stuff on LinkedIn, then doing more than 2 a day is, it's quite a lot of work. But yeah, so LinkedIn doesn't like you to be pushing out 6, 7 posts a day just for the sake of posting. It's not one of these platforms where it's all about the quantity. With LinkedIn, it's about quality. So how to get the most out of LinkedIn? There are 5 things here that I'll talk through very quickly. Well, not very quickly, I'll talk through, but just to give you a flavour of what those 5 things are going to be. It's going to be, first of all, set objectives. Second, optimise your personal profile. I already mentioned that LinkedIn really likes that, and I'll give you some tips about what the best way to optimise your profile is. Managing your newsfeed, so how you can actually take control of what you see in your newsfeed on LinkedIn, because whenever you go in, you'll see your newsfeed, you'll scroll through it, and it's important that what you see in there is useful and interesting to you, personally and professionally, and there are ways of managing that. It likes, you can listen, interact, and add value. That's a really key tip to get the most out of LinkedIn. And then sharing content, and I'll have a quick look at what kind of things you can post, give you some tips for the sorts of content that go down really well on LinkedIn. So first of all, setting objectives. As with anything in business, or in life even, if you don't know what it is that you're trying to do, then how do you know if you've achieved it at the end of it? So you need to set some objectives. So some fairly standard objectives that would be very achievable for most of us to manage to hit would be to raise your professional profile. So if you're not already very active on LinkedIn, even just a little bit of activity and optimising your profile and following the tips that I'm going to give you will help to raise your profile in your professional sphere. Making relevant connections. This is all about connecting digitally today, my talk. So we want to have as many relevant connections as we can find in our business life, both online and offline. So LinkedIn is fabulous for that. And you might want to set yourself an objective having X number of relevant connections within a certain time frame. Or you might set an objective of always connecting with everybody you meet at a networking event or something like that. You can develop relationships on LinkedIn, so that's a really good objective to have. And you can source leads. So you might want to set a figure on it, but you might just want to give yourself an objective of sourcing 5 leads in the next 3 months on LinkedIn. And social selling, so winning some business on LinkedIn. So the leads will lead, obviously, to winning some business. So those are some example objectives. You obviously can think of your own as well that are going to be relevant to your own business and what you want to get out of LinkedIn. So optimizing your profile. These are the tips about how to make sure that your profile is liked by the algorithm or rated by the algorithm, and your LinkedIn value goes up. So first of all, you need to have a very professional looking profile picture, by which I don't mean you've got to be stuffily sitting and leaning, against a desk and looking like you've got a suit on, but professional as in a quality photograph. So it needs to look like you look in your everyday business life. So that if you go to an event and somebody has only ever seen you on their phone, your LinkedIn picture, they'll recognise it's you. You'll look like you in a business professional context. So probably not beach shots. And I know a lot of people look great at weddings and they get really nice photos taken. It's not the best thing to have on your LinkedIn profile, because you're not going to be wearing that or looking like that next time one of your LinkedIn contacts sees you. So look like you look at work when you're working, and make sure that it's a good quality photograph. But a smartphone photo will be perfectly adequate. You don't have to get a professional photographer unless you want to. A relevant headline. So LinkedIn will automatically fill in the headline, which is the little 120 odd characters underneath your picture. LinkedIn will automatically populate that with your most recent job title unless you change it. And you can change it very easily by going in and editing it. And if you go in and change that headline, you can populate it with some really useful keywords that will help people to find you when they're conducting search. So LinkedIn search is pretty good, but LinkedIn also features very highly in Google. So if you have some good keywords in your headline that tell people what you do and who you do it for, you can make sure that you're found much more easily on Google and on LinkedIn. Have a really good descriptive bio. So that's where you've got the little about you section on LinkedIn. And you can tell your story there. This isn't the experience bit that is kind of like your CV. This is the descriptive. I don't even know how many words there are available to you, but it's quite long. And you can write a story about yourself. So who you are, what you do, who you do it for, maybe why you do it, and a little bit about the benefits that you can bring to people. So it's a really good place to sell your business, your services, whatever you're offering in your professional capacity. And you can also include in there some contact details, because LinkedIn has a little bit that you can click on that says contact details. But while people are reading your bio, why not include your phone number if you want people to have it, and your email, maybe if you're on Twitter or any other social media accounts, include those details in there, because then people have got it all in one place when they're in the mindset of finding out about you. That's all there for them. A network of quality connections, so people who are the right people for you to be connected with, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then endorsements. So these are the little tick things that LinkedIn has, where you can say, I'm good at marketing, I'm good at social media, I'm good at dog walking, whatever your professional capacity might be. And you choose which skills you want to have there, and then all your contacts have the opportunity to tick and say that yes, they agree that you are good at those things. And the more that you have, more endorsements you have, the more that your LinkedIn worth rates goes up. And particularly if other people who are considered to be expert in that field have endorsed you for it as well, that is an extra point, if you like. So endorsements are good, but even better than that are recommendations. And much as in life generally, offline as well as online, we all want to know that other people who've worked with a potential new business supplier have found that working with them was a good experience. So whenever you work with somebody, whenever you finish a project for them, or you've got a previous client, or even somebody in your business now who you think has a good idea about what you do, ask them for a recommendation. Tell them what it is that you want to be recommended for, so that they haven't got to magic it up out of thin air. And just ask them for a recommendation. The more recommendations you can get on LinkedIn, the better. They do really count for a lot of kudos on LinkedIn. And also give recommendations. When you know that somebody does a good job and you're happy to put your name to saying that they do a good job, then don't be afraid to reciprocate. Bonus points if you have a really good cover image on your LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn by default will fill in the picture behind your little profile picture with a blue bar with lots of little nodes and connections on it, which is supposed to indicate that we're all connecting. But if that isn't what you want to be behind your shot on LinkedIn, and why would it be, you can upload your own profile cover picture there. And that can be something about your business, it can be something about what you do, it could literally just be a picture of your, I don't know what I was going to say there. It could literally be your logo, because you don't want to use your logo in your profile picture. That needs to be you, your actual person. And if you have a website, then you probably want to make sure that the cover image ties in with your website, so that when people are looking at you in more than one place, it's clear that you are the same person. You know, it all links together nicely. Another bonus point would be for media uploads. So in your About section, your bio, you can upload videos, you can upload PDFs, you can upload JPEGs. So if you're in the creative type of profession, you're producing lots of beautiful artworks, PDFs, if you produce videos, you can upload all of those there, and they really help to give a flavour of what you're about. And people are, some people even just upload an about video, particularly if they're very big in video, which explains more about who they are, what they do, and you can use that even instead of writing a lot in your bio, if video is your thing. And then hashtags. So LinkedIn is now really pushing hashtags. They didn't used to for a long time, even though they have supported hashtags for a long time. But now they're really pushing them. And you can include some well-chosen hashtags in your bio or in your headline, so that people can also find you when they're searching for those hashtags. So then managing your newsfeed, making sure that you see what you want to see in your newsfeed when you're visiting LinkedIn. You need to, it does take a bit of effort. It's not going to happen unless you do something about it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go and look for interesting people and businesses that you think will be providing useful and interesting content, and then you follow them. Or if they're a person, you can connect with them, or you can follow them. It's your choice which of the two you want to do. You can choose hashtags to follow. So as an individual on LinkedIn now, you can search for some hashtags that are going to bring up some useful content for you. So I follow a few hashtags. I follow marketing, I follow small business marketing, I follow social media, I follow worthing. Nothing's happening there yet, but one day it might get big. So there are a number of different hashtags that you can follow, and then you'll start to see content that's got those hashtags in it in your newsfeed without having to go and search for it every day. And it starts to really bring your newsfeed, starts to make it very relevant to what you are interested in yourself. And then also, one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily know about LinkedIn is that when we've got connections, we connect. When we connect with somebody, we automatically follow them. But what might happen is that you would want to connect with people because they're going to be useful to you in business and not necessarily just on LinkedIn. But they might be posting content that isn't all that relevant to you or isn't necessarily very useful to you right now. But you don't want to lose that connection. It is possible on LinkedIn to just unfollow them. And there's 3 little dots next to people's profiles. You click on the little dots and you can unfollow, but still keep them as a connection. So they don't know that you've done it. They won't be upset and think that you hate them or anything like that. You're still connected. They don't know you're not following them. You stop seeing irrelevant content in your newsfeed. So it starts to really focus your newsfeed and just make it that bit more useful for you. Listen, interact, and add value. So this is all about, on LinkedIn, okay, we can all just go and look at our newsfeed and we can all just kind of be a little bit holding back and possibly, some people might say, a bit stalkery and not really interact with people. But you won't get the most out of it unless you put yourself out there a little bit. And it can feel a bit uncomfortable at first if you've not done it before, but we do need to do it. So look at what people are posting on there and give it a like. That's fine, that's okay. But even better, comment on it, add some value, give your opinion on what people are talking about, tell them if you found that this works or doesn't work, or if you've got a different viewpoint. You can have discussions and disagree with people without it turning into a huge fighting match, and that's perfectly acceptable to have a different opinion and to put that opinion to people. So you don't always have to be liking and agreeing, you can be having an actual conversation and both have differing viewpoints, and it starts to get quite interesting, and you can make some really good connections, because once a conversation starts to happen in the comments section, the algorithm thinks that that's really good stuff and it shows it to more and more people, so you will start to be seen. Your profile gets more views, you start to get much wider reach by having a genuine conversation. Don't be afraid to ask people to connect with you. So once you've searched and found the right people who you think are going to be useful to you in your business life, don't be afraid to ask them for a connection. A lot of people won't respond though unless you put some kind of personal message in there. Some people will, they'll connect with anybody and it doesn't matter, but some people are more guarded and they'll want to know why you want to connect with them. You don't have to write an essay, but it is a good idea to just write a brief why would you want to connect with me? Well, because we both live in Worthing, or because I saw you at an event, or because I'm interested in the business that you do. There's no harm in telling people it's because I think we might work together. You know, we're all there in a professional capacity. People know that they might be sold to at some point, and that's okay. And then monitor the conversations. See what people are talking about. See what people are asking about. See if anybody's got a problem that you know the answer to, that you can jump in and give them the answer, because that will really help to improve your reach. And once people see you start doing that, you find that other people start to recommend you for stuff because they've seen that you've answered a question that is in this area, and you're probably going to know the answer for somebody else if they're asking the same question. Bonus tips. So LinkedIn recommend that you spend about 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn, which is quite a long time, but you don't have to do it all in one go. You could do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunchtime, 10 minutes in the evening. What's most important though is to be consistent. So if you know that you just cannot ever spend half an hour on LinkedIn every day, that's fine. If you know the most you can spend is 15 minutes, then that's what you do. But do it consistently. Don't suddenly spend 3 hours on there one day and then not look at it again for 6 months, because that's not really going to get you any results. Requesting connections is really important, which I said. And then don't write off the evenings and the weekends. LinkedIn a few years ago, it was all about 9 to 5, and then I go home and I go to Facebook. But nowadays, what's actually happening on LinkedIn is that people are using it much more in the evenings and the weekends. You won't know if your connections and the people that you want to be your connections are there at the weekends and the evenings unless you go yourself and have a little look and see what's happening. It might be they're there, it might be they're not. We've all got our own target audience. My audience is different to yours, and so they're there at different times to yours, so you've just got to go and check it out. But surprisingly, Sunday evenings on LinkedIn can get pretty busy. There are quite a lot of people there. So a quick look at what sort of content you might want to post on LinkedIn. How am I doing for time? Okay. Quick look at the sort of content, because when we start posting, there can be a bit of fear about what would I even post, what would people look at? And there are lots of different ideas of stuff that you can post. So it's important that when you're posting content, think about what your target audience is interested in, not what your peers are interested in. So I'm a marketer. I could post loads of content about marketing that sort of positions me as looking like I know what I'm talking about in front of my peers. And the temptation is to do that because we all want to look like we know what we're talking about. But if I post something that's way above the heads or out of the sphere of relevance to the people that I want to work with, which is small businesses, service-based businesses, if I'm posting content that is not of interest to them, it's lost really, because I want my content to be of interest to the people who I want to work with. I want to draw them in by showing them that I know what I'm talking about in the area they're interested in. So think about what's important to your audience, your target audience, as well as what you know about. Make sure you're adding a professional value add. Don't just put a link into an article and not put a comment in at all, because anyone can do that. That's really not very difficult at all. People want to know what you think about it. They want to know why you think this is an interesting article and what's the relevance. If you've got blog posts or you like writing longer articles, then do post those in LinkedIn using LinkedIn's native publishing area, because you can write full blog posts in there, and and you don't have to just link back to somewhere else. Do try video if that's your thing, and if it isn't your thing, don't be pushed into trying it. At the moment on LinkedIn, everybody's going, oh, video is it, it's really, video is the big thing, which has resulted in quite a lot of people who probably shouldn't posting video on LinkedIn. And we've all got to start somewhere, that's great, but possibly once you've discovered that actually video is not your thing, you don't have to post video unless it is something that you feel genuinely comfortable doing and feel like you can add some value. Because you want to present yourself in the best light as you can. Do post your story, things about you, and you can get quite personal on LinkedIn. So it's a really good idea to do a bit of your backstory about why you're in the business that you're in. How did you reach this point? Maybe tell a little bit something about what you did before and why what you're doing now is better and how that's going to help benefit the people that you work with. Don't be afraid to let a little bit of vulnerability in there. We're all comfortable with different levels of that, so don't necessarily leap out of your comfort zone straight away. But don't be afraid to let a little bit of that in. Social proof goes down very well on LinkedIn, as it does everywhere. We all want to prove that we know what we're talking about, that we can do what we say we can do. So if you've got testimonials, if you've got recommendations, if people have given you quotes and said, I love working with you, you did a brilliant piece of work, with their permission, post it on LinkedIn. It goes down really well, and it helps to prove that you are the credible professional person that you are presenting yourself as. Don't forget that unless you tell people, they're not going to know what you do and who you want to do it for. So don't be afraid to post some quite salesy pieces on there. They don't have to be, they don't have to be over the top selling, but it is useful to tell people, I provide this service, this is the type of business or person I provide it for, and I've got a bit of availability, or I might have some availability in 3 months' time if you're very lucky because I'm so busy. But tell people what you do and encourage them to see you in that light. And then it does go down quite well on LinkedIn as well to post a little bit of the sort of the behind the scenes stuff. So tell people if you're going out to a networking event, you can post it on LinkedIn, you can tell them you're going to be there. They might be going too, you could find some connections that way. But also they might just be interested to see that you are actually investing in your professional career, your professional development. You can talk about what you're doing in your day-to-day job. This is what it looks like in our office, this is our office dog, this is us putting together a presentation for an event, this is us putting up an event. Some people are really great at this, and it really adds a lot of colour to what you're posting on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn doesn't have to be boring and straight and really, really professionally dull. It can be really interesting if you make it that way. So, it's time to get started. You need to set your own objectives, optimise your profile, manage your newsfeed, listen, add value and interact, and share content. Those are my tips for you. So I hope that was useful. And I did say I was going to talk a bit about the Marketing Architect. So here's that bit. So we are an outsourced virtual marketing team working with small businesses and service-based businesses. And we work in 5 different areas. And the area that is of most relevance to my talk today is this one, training. And we do provide training around marketing and social media for small businesses and for individuals who feel like they just need to have a little bit more knowledge about what goes on social media. And LinkedIn is one of the training courses that we provide. So if anybody's interested, please contact me after. And now we're all going to connect with each other. So everybody now has the LinkedIn app on their phones. And I apologise if you already know this, but a lot of people don't know this. So the first thing is we open up LinkedIn and we go to our, it doesn't matter where you open it up, you click on this little person icon at the bottom, and then there are 2 versions of this depending on if you've recently updated your app or not, because as I discovered this morning when I was testing this with my husband, he hasn't, and he's got this view, which is the old view, but this is the new view. So when you've clicked on the 2 little people, you either get this view, and this is what you want to click on next, or if you're on the old version, I don't even know how my husband managed it, but it's total Luddite, you've got this version. And I apologise if anybody in this room has got that version. You're obviously not a Luddite like my husband. You might just have a different phone. So it's either this version or this version. You need to click on either these little person there, or straight to Find Nearby. So if you're clicking on this one, there's another screen to go through, because LinkedIn updated it to make it harder, which was good. And we get this. So Find Nearby is what we're looking for. So click on Find Nearby, and if you've got Bluetooth enabled, you don't.
Thank you.
So, okay. If it's off at the moment, there should be somewhere to click it on. Enable it, yeah. Yeah. So you need to enable Bluetooth, and then you can click on. You can click it on, and then we should all get a screen that's full of all the people in this room who've got LinkedIn open at the minute, and we can now go down and literally, if you're all happy to do that, you can all go and connect with each other. Anybody who connects with me today, I will send you a link to a downloadable PDF that's got today's slides in a summary version on it. So if you want to connect,
the little message icon, that means you're already connected.
Yes, yeah, because you can send a message if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm already connected to nearly everybody.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah.
Great.
So that's what we're doing. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sean.